Good afternoon, everybody. I've been asked the question a lot over the last few days. Is Andrew Bridgen going to join the Heritage Party? Are you going to get him to join the Heritage Party? I want to answer that question today, if I can, because it so appears that there are other parties who have said they don't want anything to do with him because of what he said about the injections. First of all, I would say I wish he'd spoken out 2 years ago when I was speaking out and questioning Sadiq Khan and Nadeem Zahawi about the potential risks to safety with these things when they first got rolled out. But, you know, it is good that he's speaking out about that now and he's saying the right things now. You know, it's clear that there are injuries and people are losing people that are close to them because of these things. So he's on the right track on that issue. And on that basis alone, he ticks a box that is very vital to be ticked, you know, and also that there shouldn't be any more lockdowns. I think we'd agree on that they were destructive to society. You know, the thing is, I don't know Andrew Bridgen as a person at all. I've heard of him. I don't know if he's heard of me. You know, so there you go. I'd have to meet him and discuss these things as well. But you know, in addition to that, obviously we are a party with a full manifesto. You can read the Heritage Party manifesto at heritageparty.org. And we've got lots of principles and policies in there. And actually, we're adding to them this month. We're going to have 5 new sections in the manifesto that I'm adding. And that's very exciting. I'm looking forward to announcing new policies in new areas and so on. But look, there are, for anyone to join us, you know, or not to join us as a member, but if anyone wants to stand as a candidate for the Heritage Party, or if they want to come and join us from another party, they'd have to agree with our manifesto. And what I would put out is that there are 7 things that I would look to see where someone positions themselves, which I think are of great importance to, you know, our manifesto, our principles, but also where we are now as a nation. So let me just run through those things. First of all, immigration. We have an immigration crisis. Military-age men are coming across the channel, hundreds or thousands every day. My position is we stop the boats, we push them back to France, we don't let them come to the country in the first place, because clearly if you are coming from a safe country, you're not a genuine asylum seeker. So I would see if anyone agrees with us on that. Second thing, climate alarmism and net zero. It's all rubbish. And the fake Conservative Party have been dismantling our energy infrastructure by literally blowing up coal power stations, which is absolutely ridiculous. We need to rebuild our energy infrastructure on coal, oil, gas, and nuclear, get rid of net zero, climate targets and climate trading and all this kind of nonsense all together, and use the cheap energy that we have in this country to power our industry and keep the lights on. So if anyone wants to join the Heritage Party as a candidate or as a sitting member of whatever body, I would look to see what their position is on climate alarmism and energy. Free speech. So the fake Conservative Party are curtailing and oppressing and suppressing free speech, and they're pushing through one of the most draconian pieces of legislation ever seen in this country at the moment, called the Online Harms or Online Safety Bill, which is going to make it a requirement of social media platforms to censor people for certain opinions that are legal, but the government may deem as misinformation, etc. Now, I would certainly repeal that immediately. I don't support it. But what I would also want to do is introduce a Freedom Act and dismantle the whole edifice of hate in law, hate crime, hate speech, non-crime hate incidents, all of these things which are used to criminalize speech and banter and opinions need to go out of law. There should be restrictions on inciting violence and inciting crime, which is what we've always had, and everyone has understood that because they are objective and they're measurable, and you can clearly see if someone has incited violence. But this whole edifice of hate is totally subjective, and it relies on somebody feeling like somebody said something that was hostile and unfriendly, and then you can get dragged through the courts for something that should be just perfectly reasonable to say. So we need to get rid of this whole edifice of hate in law and restore freedom of speech, so people are free to have jokes, to say what they want, to express their opinions without fear of being censored or losing their jobs or getting their bank account cancelled or being dragged through the courts, etc. Number 4, Ukraine. I've been for de-escalating the conflict in Ukraine from the very beginning. It's an unnecessary conflict, and it's been stoked up by certain parties in the collective West. We should have all stuck to the Minsk agreements, and we could have completely avoided this situation. Even now, we can de-escalate. We can stop the conflict, stop sending weapons and money to the Zelensky regime, get everybody to negotiate, stop people from killing each other, and get back to a place where we have trading relations with Russia, at least. I do not want a future where we have a perpetual, eternal enmity with Russia. That's the wrong future for the West. It's the wrong future for the United Kingdom. We need to stop this and get back to a place where the West and Russia are acting as partners together and put this behind us. And that's my position. We need to lift the sanctions on Russia so that we can buy cheap Russian oil and gas to bring our energy prices down for ordinary people in the West and the UK, while we rebuild our energy infrastructure that the fake conservatives have destroyed, so that in 5 years' time we can be self-sufficient in energy. That's the right future for our country. I would want to see if anyone who joins the Heritage Party agrees with that, and what their position is on that situation. 5, 6, and 7 I'll do together. Now, obviously, the Heritage Party is a socially conservative party. I've said that from the beginning. We set up specifically to be a socially conservative party. So we have 3 fundamental socially conservative principles that we hold to, and all of our policies will hang off of those principles. Number 1 is there are 2 sexes, male and female. There are not 100 genders. There is no such thing as gender that is different to biological sex, and you cannot change your biological sex. Number 2, marriage is a man and a woman. And I do not agree with redefining marriage in any other way than that fundamental traditional definition of marriage. I would repeal the laws that have redefined it already, and I would not support any laws that further redefine and liberalise the definition of marriage. And number 3, unborn children are children, and they deserve the same protections in law as any other human being who's been born. Unborn children are human beings, and so we are unequivocally 100% a pro-life party. So I would want to see if anybody who joins us agrees with all those 7 things, those 7 points that I've said, which I think are of particular importance for candidates who are in the Heritage Party, and people who would want to join us who are sitting as a elected representative. So, if Andrew Bridgen agrees with all of those things, he'd be very, very welcome to join the Heritage Party. We'll see. I hope one day soon I can catch up with him and have a chat. So there you go. Hopefully that answers the questions of the hundreds of people who've been saying to me, get Andrew Bridgen to join the Heritage Party. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I certainly would not disqualify him on the basis of what he's been saying about injections, because right now, for the last 2 months, he's been speaking the truth on these things, which is very, very good.